Good morning. Uh, Today is, let's see. Oh, today's November 20th, 2025. I'm Dr. Lueth. It is 9:42 a.m. New York Eastern Time, USA. I appreciate anybody who watches these, and it's okay. You want to make comments afterwards or jump into the chat. I prefer people over 21. It's more of adult conversations. Um, so that's what I'm saying. But also, when it comes to the ice hockey, I try and remember that people are at different levels of fandom, and some are younger and are just now starting to learn some of the things, and some are older and have been around for a while, but some are older and just becoming hockey fans. So I try and mention things sort of on multi-level perspectives when I can, because I when I look at stuff online and when I get in the chats and when I talk to hockey people, I know that they're coming from a certain perspective. So that's why sometimes I'll mention, as a more well veteran National Hockey League fan, that sometimes it's like, well, you don't have to worry about these things because they don't do that in the playoffs, or these things are common and normal. One of the things I know frustrates people, and it's just it it's kind of an interesting phenomenon. I'm just going to mention this, that let's just say 35 years ago. Okay, now some of us are old enough to remember teams were staying together more often. So you got your core group of guys, and they just played for the same franchise. There wasn't a lot of trade or movement or any of that kind of thing. But definitely that has changed. So some of us have seen a guy get traded right off the bench. Guy's in the middle of playing for a hockey club, and then where'd he go? Where'd he go? He just got yanked off the ice and traded to another franchise. So these things are much more common. So some of us had to get used to that as we were going along. Those of you who are newer fans, that's just normal, everyday. Okay. It does kind of suck when it's one of your, favorite players, or it's somebody who you think is, fits well on the team. Unfortunately, we don't really have a say in that. So, which sucks sometimes. Like, oh man, but we can't really do the thinking for management. And as many people know, as you grow and learn as an ice hockey fan, especially just understanding the National Hockey League as a whole, you know, there have been some stupid trades made. I mean, it's just, it happens. And there have been trades that, some right. I mean, sometimes certain things will happen and a GM actually gets the, um, bad management can affect what happens on ice. Okay. So all these things, some of us understand, which is why I am one of those more positive, annoyingly positive ice hockey lovers. Okay. Um, but I mentioned slanging the biscuit. I do look. There's a lot of stuff, but I only have so much time in the day, so I'm focusing mostly on Winnipeg media and press. But I look at other things, and I was looking at some interviews. Brent Sopel. Now, Brent Sopel is a former ice hockey player, and a lot of stuff happened. He mentions some drugs and alcohol. I mean, that's why I put the link here. The link is for Slanging the Biscuit, and what it does is bring up a bunch of interviews on YouTube that Brent Sopel has done with Slanging the Biscuit. And so I mentioned him before. So what I'm saying, I'm not trying to slam him in any way. I mean, this is not me being judgy. The only thing I wanted to say is, number one, like, don't come at it like you're a victim, Brent. Okay? I have, college degrees in psychology. I've been listening to you guys for years and years and years and years, and you know, like try to flip that script, as people say. Try and look at it more like, but look at all these things you've triumphed over. Okay, and I know it can't be easy. I say list that because I make fun of my own self, and people are like, "Don't do that." I'm like, well, it is kind of funny if you think about it. Okay, but so's Tom Cruise. So's people who there are people all over who are successful and have certain things. So I understand because I'm 54, and it was seen a little more negatively, and it wasn't as well understood as it is now. But never, ever, ever take the perspective of I am a victim. Okay? It's good for your mental health, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, you can be bummed out. I know there are former NHL players who do feel, and they express in interviews all the time, and sometimes in books, that they feel like the National Hockey League abandoned them. And in some case, yeah, there's a homeless guy, and then yeah, there's a few who I've seen around, right? So those of us who love ice hockey, and those of us who know, well, we should, just like there's some self-policing, there's self-policing going on, right, on the ice. I mean, I understand certain things. I will say this about fighting in the National Hockey League. Look, if you if you're, let's just say, if your captain keeps getting tripped and keeps getting nudged and keeps getting, and right, the officials aren't calling it. Well, one, you do need to address that with the officials. But two, sometimes you send a message with your fist, or with pushing and shoving, or right in their mouth, or intimidate them to let them know, hey, no, 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 hey, no, I don't freaking think so. They're still protectors. They're still honest guardians. They have maybe 20 years ago, 30 may have had slightly different roles, but they're still there. Okay, but that's what I'm saying, is that I I can't, in any good conscience, especially knowing you know about how athletes think, because I also pay attention to other athletes, in the off season and other kinds of things. And so the National Hockey League athletes aren't that much different from others, but I have been listening to them for years and reading about them for years. And what I'm saying is, I'm not dogging Brent Sobel, okay, because he's spoken up about things. The one thing about that is, no, please, please try not to be telling people that um, 988, okay, is a scam, please. And the reason I'm saying that is, there are people um, who, I mean, I'm going to say in the U.S., need immediate attention. And they may not even know exactly how they're feeling, what's going on. It could be drugs or alcohol addiction. It could be someone in their family. It could be that, they've just been depressed for too long. It could be that they're thinking about unaliving themselves. It could be any number of things. But 988 actually puts you in conversation with an actual human. And in the US, there are several different kinds of organizations who may retrieve a call and will come right to you where you are in the physical. Okay, they may not be able to help with housing, but they'll be able to Tell you about resources. Check in on you. Maybe let some resources know you're there. Might try and hook you up to just talk to you, an actual real person, not an answering machine, not an AI, not a bot. Okay, it's not a scam, sir. Please, okay. Don't don't discourage people from reaching out. Okay, I mean, right. In the mental health situation, I understand some of that drugs and alcohol, and you could have messed up your mind somehow. But I need to just sort of counteract that part. That's the only part. Brent Supel did an interview and said 988's a scam. And look, man, no, it's not. Okay? You should never, ever, ever discourage someone from reaching out for help. And it's set up specifically so that humans help other humans. Do you understand? Okay, they may not be able to do certain things, but you're on their radar, and you might be homeless in your car, all drunk, wanting to kill yourself. You understand? And there are times when they can get people right to you, and sometimes it's not an ambulance or law enforcement. Sometimes it's just someone who's available and who will come and just sit there and talk to you. And they may not be able to do, but they will then, let some resources and other people know where you are. Maybe they'll give you a sandwich. Okay, it could be any number of reasons, but it's humans helping humans, Mr. Brent Circle. Okay, so maybe some of you should change your perspective a little bit. I wouldn't bullshit anybody because I would not want that happening to me. But I know why it's set up. Okay, there might be a law enforcement officer who, you're not really doing something that's too terrible where you're having a struggle and they're not sure what to do, but, maybe they can call 988 for you. Okay. And maybe they got a little time to just sit there and talk to you on their shift. It's like immediate intervention. Okay. But nowadays, more and more people understand, how dyslexia works. Some have dyscalculia. There's different types too. Okay. Um, there were times, yes, when some of us were younger, we just got yelled at and called lazy. And yeah, Henry Winkler is too. I know. I know. I had difficulties that way too. And it wasn't even until I got into yeah, college level stuff did anybody even really notice. Yeah. Okay. It, please don't ever discourage someone from reaching out for help, though. Okay. But I know there are plenty of players who've expressed that they feel like the National Hockey League, that organization, has abandoned them. And what I'm going to say is, well, then, just like some of the guys on ice will police for each other and get each other's back and look out for each other, maybe we as ice hockey lovers should be trying to help each other a little more and listening to each other a little more. And, uh, you know, I'm not saying we can solve people's problems. I'm not saying we're trying to fix people. I'm saying that we should try to check in on people in the physical a little more often. We should try to, sometimes we got to be those assholes that remind people, hey, look what happened to this guy. How did that happen to that guy? Okay, well, let's make sure that people know better. And we just keep saying, well, no, you see what I'm saying? We can get involved in those ways. So that's why hi, fellas. Yes, it's Movember, okay? I'm going to be that annoying nag who's going to keep reminding you all it's Movember. Okay? And don't be all trying to tell me, well, no, I've had to go through all kinds of crap. And some of it I don't talk about here because, some of it's just not meant for kids and teenagers to get online, and I can't really prevent that myself. I discourage them, okay, but really, who knows? It's November, fellas, but that also means mental health. Take care of yourselves, mentally as well. Sometimes, if you're feeling completely misunderstood and you're starting to feel down and everything is starting to pile up on you, freaking tell everyone who you see. Your doctor, your sister, your lover, your mother, your teammates, your neighbors. See, that's actual real strength. Don't listen to that other bullshit, because it's bullshit and it's going to go away. That's strength. I wouldn't bullshit any of you because I just love ice hockey. And I love the people. I mean, it's not just the ice hockey people, but this sort of like whole the hockey verse is something that I've cared about for a very long time. And I've noticed things along the way, and I've spoken up about them. Maybe not out on the internet, but some of them right out loud on the internet. Okay, it's sort of like player safety too. Okay, it's not just about physical safety. Okay, it's Movember, fellas, but that also means it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to to talk to a therapist, just simply because it's like you're using that person as a sounding board sometimes, who's not, doesn't have decisions that have anything. They're not your family, they're not your friends, they're not your friends, they're not like, they're just there to listen to you. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you only go 3 times every so often. Maybe you're not having an issue, but you want to just discuss some things and have another perspective. Okay? But we should all try and help each other. Not just money, not just, right? The mental health part of it, which is why I'm annoying when it comes to some fans. It's just like, I know, but truly, we really can't do much about it other than just keep trying to be positive for our team. I mean, we can't jump out on ice, right? We can't go and pick the right player, and we can't change the way the coach is coaching, as much as we all might want to. Okay? It's just true. We can discuss these things, yeah, and have like little go, but just, I mean, we can support, we can, spend money on merchandise and go to games. But we can also encourage. Okay? That's the only thing I'm going to say. I need to say that. It takes great strength to reach out and ask for help. That's not weakness at all. It takes a huge amount of strength and courage to do that. Some people know some of the things I have endured in my life, which includes rape and torture, the loss of my entire family by the time I was 40. There is nothing wrong with asking for help. So some of you are like, I did it all by myself, and I'm like, well, no, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. NHL retirees maybe should have like a phone tree or some kind of like Skype tree or something where you just every month you call your buddy, like the buddy buddy system. U.S. military does that. Buddy buddies, buddy buddy in. I did buddy buddy with a dude, but I couldn't. Like we could only get so far because he went. There's something that only males can do. Anyway, but I think U.S. military should also buddy buddy out. Okay, but you can buddy buddy. Okay, like if you don't hear from somebody, you can call and get a welfare check done from law enforcement, or you can call someone you know lives closer to them if you're far away and say, "Can you do me a favor? You drive over there and bang on the door." It takes great strength to reach out and ask for help. It takes great courage. Okay? No, 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 no. I'm not going to stop, and I'm not going to shut up, and I'm not going to go away. Some of you have been taught harmful things that just are plain out false and untrue and wrong. Men cry, ladies and gentlemen. Manly men cry. Knowing you need help and then asking for it is not only the right thing to do for you, but for other people. I mean, there are people who volunteer, they're waiting to help somebody because they know they can. There are people who get paid for it. There are people who understand better than other people. And there are people who understand, well, I don't understand, but I know this person does. Maybe you guys should buddy buddy. Maybe the NHL retirees should buddy buddy. And just specifically, once a month, have a person who you, yes, specifically check in on. Yes, Skype, not phone, Skype, or something similar so you can physically see them. And if for some reason they miss their appointment and they haven't told you, then you call to get a welfare check done, law enforcement or whoever, or you call somebody who you know lives very close to them. Okay, I haven't heard from them. Please go bang on their door. I don't care. You can say that's idealistic, that's naive. I'm just like, that's you making excuses. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be undone before it can be redone. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm undoing all that bullshit because it's just a lie. Every single human being needs others, needs someone, needs help on occasion. It's just true. Well, I live by my own, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yes, and I'm sure your freaking mental health is, and your other kind of health is like down in the toilet. You have to reach down and pull you out. And by the way, fellas, I can read you. You can't hide it from me. I can read rooms. I can read games. Right. I can read other teams. Yeah, that's why I'm valuable, Winnipeg Jets. That'd be why. Like, yeah, it's just like some of them put out so much press. It's kind of like, geez, man. I can tell your team is highly annoyed. Hey, guys, their press is highly annoying them in every possible way. Yeah, you might as well take advantage of that. Right. And by the way, I just wanted to let everybody know that goalies are also capable of seeing where the puck is going to go before it gets there. Dudes, I'm friendly. You're just going to have to trust me on that one. It's Movember. Okay? That also includes your emotional and mental health. There is never anything wrong with asking for help. That is a bold face, bullshit, red flag warning, lie, falsehood. That does not make you tough and strong. Bullshit. And plus, I have evidence. And yes, some of you need to understand. Right? See that M, double M's? Right. Yes, I'm very old soul. And I do know better than some of you fellas in the National Hockey League, actually. I do. Yeah, yes, I do. I've proven that a few times. There's some people know. I also predicted, right, that, uh-huh, uh, certain goalie that came through that former Washington Crabs. Well, now this is the way I can say Washington Crabs. I can just say for over there in the Devil's Trap. Right. Goalie Holtby. I said. I also said at the beginning of the season, I'm not. Stanley. Morgan. Hello, Stanley. Hi. Stanley. Two thumbs up. I don't know. Don't let anybody be bitching about we worried about Stanley for this. He's I never understood where the Stanley hate was coming from, to be honest with you. Fellas, the sanctity of your man club, okay, is built on nothingness. You get tricked into things, and some of you are becoming more and more aware that a lot of that shit you guys were fed was actually bad for you, caused you issues in every kind of relationship you've had, and are not definitions of what a man is. But I have your back. Please try not to make this hard on me anymore, gentlemen. So, some information is now being released to you, especially concerning the two teams in Atlanta and, yeah, the franchise. Now, see, some people think that there are fans, gentlemen, in the NHL, and those who talk about this and everything who get information out to the public. There is confusion about where Arizona is, and you understand? There's a lot of confusion about Arizona and the Utah Mammoth and Winnipeg Jets 1.0 and Winnipeg Jets 2.0. I've been seeing different versions of the story that team moved over there, that team is now inactive. Okay, they went to Utah. Okay, no, that's not. They're still that 1.0. The Mammoth are not the former Jets 1.0. Okay, fellas. And I do apologize for putting out fake news over there in Winnipeg Sport Talk. Yeah, I get a lot of NHL alerts every day, and I do my solid best to scan through them. And there's one that I always get, and it's always been correct. Like, the information that I get on this has always been correct. So, I didn't really question it, but apparently, yes, first time for everything. It listed Austin Matthews of the Leafs as out for the season, lower body torn ACL. Right, so I put it on the right. I did put it on there because I'd never ever had any issue with that source giving me incorrect information, but there seemed to be more. I checked into it after too. Like, one source says he's out for another week, which means a two. Another source says he's on ice and ready to start again. Another source is saying, lower body, but right. Two sources saying it's a torn ACL. I gotta be honest with you, torn ACL. If he's quite literally got a torn ACL, that's not he's not getting back on ice. That that might be where the bullshit is. Speculation. That might be some bullshit. But if it is, no, he's not. Nobody's going to get back on ice within 1 to 2 weeks with a torn ACL. So that might be speculation. I don't really know. I tried to check with the Leafs, and there's still a little bit of, whatever. Regardless, now I know I got to recheck this source better. But this is kind of how I find out, like, what? So, yes, it was a good source. Never had any issue. Maybe that one got wrong information too. That can happen sometimes. So, I'm glad somebody mentioned it to me, because I'm like, what, really? Oh, because this one, yeah. So there were other sources saying different things. I tried just to look at what the Leafs were putting out, Yes, but a source that actually would have credentials with the Leafs was adamant that it was a torn ACL. So I don't know. But yeah, it's okay for people to tell me, like, no, that's not right. Yeah, I'm good with that. It can happen. It doesn't usually happen, but now I gotta double check this source, which takes time. And I don't get paid for any of this. Hey, gentlemen, how about you learn the buddy buddy? Retirees, let's put in place a buddy buddy system. Every month you check on video or in person. If you can get that person on video, you call their local law enforcement, or you call somebody who lives close. You can go bang on their door so that nobody feels abandoned. Okay? But I'm just going to tell everybody, all right, well, don't listen to Brent Sopel when it comes to 988. He's incorrect. And Mr. Brent Sopel, don't come at it. Don't let those kids, don't let your organization and your foundation come at it from a victim perspective. Okay? Come at it from I'm an overcomer perspective. I might have this, but there's all these other things that I can do, and there's all these other people who have it. You understand? And we can also help with the narrative. If somebody's calling somebody who's got this, let's say, lazy, you jump in. Not angry. As a friend, to say, no, they probably just need to learn this another way. Maybe they need a tutor who understands how. Okay, their mind works a little different. Please, gentlemen, please look at it victoriously. You're not victims. Okay? You're not. So Mr. Brent Sopel's foundation, which of course is wonderful, start changing that narrative, man. Okay? You're not a victim, sir. And neither are they. Neither am I. We think a little differently. We see the world a little differently. Also, drugs and alcohol pretty much fuck up your chances of a nice, good, well received, well experienced National Hockey League career. Same thing for the females. There's really no room for it. So, no, the National Hockey League is not one big fucking party. Gentlemen, rude awakenings. Coming your way. And you can ignore me because I look young, or I'm a female, or I'm short, but you can't fucking ignore the words coming out of my damn mouth, because there are plenty of dudes who are working for the NHL or on teams or in front or back offices who know I'm speaking truthfully. You're not victims of anything. It's Movember, fellas. Take care of yourselves, including your mental health, all year round, man. Notice when teammates seem off. Don't be quiet about it. Be that asshole who goes to the coach or goes to the captain or goes somewhere and says, I don't know, man, something's not right with him. Don't encourage each other. Cocaine is a pile of shit. Okay? It costs shitloads of money. It doesn't even last, and it'll fuck up your career. Don't encourage each other to drink, especially if you know they're on pain meds. Everybody help each other, which is why I say to fans, I get it, fans, but also bear in mind that we can't really do much other than support the team and look positively and try and see the good things that are happening. So that doesn't make us delusional. You understand? Yes, because some of us see, like, okay, Shen in the Winnipeg Jets territory. Shen needs to up the level. He doesn't suck, but he does need to up the level. He needs to elevate. He needs to do that now. He needs to work that out now. Okay? But we don't need to be pointing out all the negative things. You don't think they know? Okay? We're not being delusional. Okay? We're just understanding the game. And there's a lot of good there. And sometimes I'll jump on and remind people, like, well, we're not doing that badly. Okay? All right, great. It's Movember, dudes. Don't be fucking around. I don't give a shit you don't like it. You don't want to hear it. Fine. Somebody else will repeat what I'm saying right to you. Buddy, buddy, gentlemen. Retirees, people getting ready to retire. Buddy, buddy. Purposely. Okay? We can all give a shit a little bit about each other. Drugs and alcohol. No, the National Hockey League is not some big fucking gigantic party, ladies and gentlemen. They do need their relaxation. They do need their time to, have fun online. Okay, I know. The rest of it was just stupid bullshit.